Atlanta came out aggressive, pulling down 3 offensive rebounds early, but this was classic Caitlin Clark, poised, electric, and ready to set the tone. Tahina Pow Pow, still learning the rhythm of playing alongside Clark, quickly realized you can't give her space. With Angel, Turner, and Autumn Johnson calling the action for the final preseason game, Clark immediately took command. Coming off a tight screen, she found her groove, showing off those signature handles, a slick behind-the-back move before dishing it inside to Sophie Cunningham for an easy bucket. Indiana began to stretch its lead, and Clark's creativity was on full display as she crafted her own assist to Lexi Hull. With Aaliyah Boston setting a perfect rub screen, Clark found Hull again, threading passes with the precision that led the league in assists last season. Her look fakes and mid-range jumpers kept the defense guessing, and when the clock wound down to 4 seconds in the half, Clark buried a deep 3 to close the quarter. Pure confidence under pressure. Even Kia Nurse's tight contest couldn't stop her rhythm. The Fever's chemistry began to shine as players read Clark's cues, cutting, spacing, and reacting to her every move. The commentary compared her to Paige Buchers in terms of poise and shot creation, but Clark's range and vision set her apart. When she shook Courtney Vandersloot with a step-back jumper, the crowd erupted. Classic logo range Caitlin Clark. With a triple-double within reach, she fed Kelsey Mitchell for a layup that sent the building into chaos. Later, against Atkins's tight defense, she drilled another jumper, silencing any doubts about her consistency. With 3 minutes to go, Clark took the space she was given and hit a dagger 3 that left Atlanta's defense reeling. Despite Atlanta experimenting with 2 bigs, Indiana's adjustments and energy kept them alive. Clark drew fouls attacking the rim, recorded her 3rd career triple-double, and set the tone against Chicago. In another defensive stand, Alicia Gray was denied, and Clark pushed the tempo, a bounce pass to Nelissa Howard for the finish. Her leadership transformed Indiana's situational defense, elevating both pace and communication. A beautiful find to Boston showcased her elite connection with the post, followed by a foul and 1 circus shot from Hull. Even when Indiana trailed by double digits, Clark's deep threes and relentless pace shifted momentum. Off a defensive board, Howard ran, Mitchell finished, and Clark's full court vision was unmatched. She hit another logo 3 as the Fever began to believe in a system where 6 or 7 players could hit double figures. Her backdoor dime to Mitchell was textbook, an echo of last season's chemistry now refined and sharper. When Ryan Howard switched onto her, Clark calmly stepped back and buried another shot, forcing Atlanta to rethink their defensive matchups. Under 20 seconds left in the half, Clark bounced it inside to Boston for the soft finish, then connected from mid-range with that effortless signature pull-up. Each possession was an exhibition of her court IQ, and when she launched her 5th 3 of the night, the arena erupted. The broadcast called it the Indiana Members Credit Union winning combination, Boston to Clark, unstoppable, natural, and lethal. Even when the Fever fell behind by 11 entering the 4th, Clark refused to quit. She slashed to the basket, finishing strong to cut the deficit to 6, then found Boston on the roll to make it a 2-point game. Every hesitation, every fake was calculated. Her patience under pressure set her apart as she delivered another assist to Howard, proving why she led the league in assists. As soon as Clark touched the ball, Indiana's pace accelerated. Sophie Cunningham and Kelsey Mitchell ran lanes with purpose. Against New York, Clark's matchup with Breanna Stewart was a statement. She attacked straight lines, drew contact, and made it look easy. Her and Boston's 2-woman game, pick-roll finish, tore through New York's defense. Even when Sabrina Ionescu tried to respond, Clark stayed unfazed. She drew fouls, finished through contact, and kept feeding Boston. When the Liberty's defensive scheme overloaded the strong side, Clark punished them with step-back 3s, including one where she was fouled, a classic welcome-back moment that sent the home crowd into chaos. Boston's reaction said it all: joy, disbelief, pride. As the 3rd quarter ended, Indiana led 76-68, and Clark wasn't done yet. She pushed tempo, eyes always scanning, finding Mitchell cutting behind the defense for a perfect layup. Her tongue out, her energy electric, she looked every bit like a player in control of her destiny. Clark's rebounding, pace, and threading passes to Boston showcased a next-level maturity. When she crossed over, spun, and finished through traffic, the crowd could only gasp. Even when Cunningham went down, Clark drilled another 3 without hesitation, her rhythm unbroken. 9 of 30 shooting, multiple logo bombs, and her confidence radiated. Each possession she controlled with tempo and vision, pulling up from deep with no hesitation. When Stewart laughed after Clark drained another impossible three, it was mutual respect. Two superstars acknowledging greatness. Clark drove past Stewart again, pulling up and drilling yet another jumper from deep range. New York had no answers as she led a fever comeback run, nailing threes, dishing bounce passes to Hull, and setting up Boston to finish on the other end. Her performance was more than stats. It was a masterclass in leadership, adaptability, and flair. Every assist, every three, every hesitation dribble was a reminder that Caitlin Clark isn't just a scorer. She's a generational playmaker changing how the game is played. This is Basketball Fan, bringing you the evolution of Caitlin Clark, the face of a new era in women's basketball, redefining dominance with every shot, every pass, and every fearless drive to the rim. It was chippy the last time these two teams met. Sophie Cunningham's ankle injury wasn't the only blow, as she even had part of her front tooth knocked out after colliding with J.C. Sheldon. This time, the tension carried over, but Caitlin Clark wasted no time reminding everyone why she's the star. Draining a triple from deep, she showcased the same confidence that saw her average 1 points with 7 threes per game in college, while Indiana, as a team, had 17 in total that night. Her court vision was flawless, threading a perfect bounce pass to a cutting Dantas for the finish. What people often forget is the grind behind Clark's game, the relentless hours of perfecting every move, every shot, every pass. Retreating, firing, and hitting, she made the impossible look routine. Defenders were always a step late. She'd stare them down, step back, and sink it like clockwork. When a loose ball came off the backboard, Clark read it like a book, stripping it clean and leading a 2-on-1 break. She looked ready to pull up, but instead dropped a no-look dime to Mitchell for an easy layup. The kind of deceptive playmaking that makes her nearly unguardable. In just her third WNBA season, her command of setting up teammates has evolved beautifully. Behind-the-back passes, pocket feeds, and instinctive timing. Another slick assist found Natasha Howard down low, and when Clark splashed a deep three from well beyond the arc moments later, the crowd roared. Even with J.C. Sheldon's hand in her face, Clark was unfazed, dishing again to Howard inside, who capitalized for 6 quick points. Reading the floor perfectly, she even picked off a pass from Stokes, turned defense into offense, and nearly converted through contact. With 3 assists already and another perfect feed to Boston in the post, the Fever's rhythm began to click. Clark's synergy with Boston was something special. The double drag screens, the reads, and the high-low connection mirrored the old-school magic of Thomas and Teresi. Even when guarded by elite defenders, Clark rose above, literally, drilling a contested 3 over Breanna Stewart's outstretched arms. Vegas, trying to stop their skid, threw everything at her, switches, traps, bigs out at the perimeter, but Clark calmly broke them down. When her shot wasn't falling from deep, she attacked, finishing strong at the rim, breaking a cold streak with a drive that reignited Indiana's fire. As Vegas missed 5 straight shots, Clark took over again, feeding Boston for easy points in transition, silencing 18,000 fans in a packed arena at Climate Pledge. Against Seattle, she picked apart defenses just as ruthlessly. Dumping it low to Boston, who established perfect post position, she set the tone early. Every steal, every pass was purposeful. When Clark read a backdoor attempt and snatched it clean, she turned it into a 2-on-1 fast break, absorbing contact from Diggins Smith with no call but full control. Her offensive aggression bled into defense. Every bucket made her lock in even more. She set up Dantas again from deep and then fed Boston in transition for a smooth finish. Seattle tried to keep up, but Clark kept dissecting them. A hesitation, a crossover, and a pull-up jumper that fell with ease. Then came the back-to-back triples that sent a message across the league. The Fever were no longer passive. They were dangerous. Her chemistry with Cunningham and Howard shone bright. After Cunningham grabbed an offensive board, Clark rifled a perfect bounce pass to Boston, whose touch around the rim made every possession count. Even when Jordan Canada was lighting it up for Atlanta, Clark responded by bailing Indiana out with deep threes, cross-court passes, and timely drives. She connected again with Howard, who flipped in another and won, and when the Fever needed poise, Clark slowed the pace and attacked strategically, fading away for another mid-range dagger. Despite collisions and heavy defense, her strength and composure carried her through, fighting for every inch. The crowd's noise reached deafening levels, but Clark remained locked in. Hesitation dribbles, contact finishes, and clutch and ones that drew roars from the bench. Her ability to handle bumps and still finish with finesse highlighted her growth as a professional. When Atlanta's defense broke down and left Cunningham open, Clark found her immediately, stretching Indiana's lead to 9. The energy in the building was electric as she read the floor, eyes always scanning, delivering another pinpoint lob inside to Boston, who finished with authority. Cunningham's relentless hustle on the boards gave Indiana second-chance opportunities, and Boston cashed in once again. Caitlin Clark, with her blend of skill, toughness, and leadership, has transformed this Fever team into a fast-paced, confident unit built around precision and belief. Every game she steps on the court, she reminds the league that her greatness isn't just about scoring, it's about making everyone around her better. This is Basketball Fan, bringing you the story of Caitlin Clark, the fearless leader redefining what it means to dominate in the WNBA, one dazzling performance at a time. Leroux the other night had a season-high 18 points. Here's Boston turning the corner. Dishing to Hull extra feed Clark, a deep 3, you bet. Told us before the game that in her last game she thought her first one was going in and this one does. And watch the reaction. Her previous 5 games she was... And he actually brought up stat from a shooting slum Steph Curry went through. She said that made her feel a lot better. That pass will as well. Right on the money to Mitchell. Guys off to Beckers, yeah. Been trapped more lately and Clark comes over the steal. Here's Clark to go in for the lay. The signage around this city has been incredible in anticipation of All-Star. Nice lead there. Clark to Howard for 2. Cunningham attack to close out. Clark the rejection of Quinterly. Clark the flick ahead. Oh, beautifully done. Touchdown Fever in the air gives Caitlin Clark the target. Barely over the fingertips of Hines Allen. Beautiful, beautiful pass. Catch in stride. Finish. Beautiful basketball. Here's Clark being hawked by Isaiah James. Clark sidestepping 3 is good. See that Caitlin Clark, when the defense was all up on her, wanted to do something about it. And right there, talk about bearing the load of the weight on her left leg. She does it in the C. Clark backing down Quinterly. 6 to shoot. Fading away and dropping it in. Beautiful. Here's Clark off the screen through the lane feeds Howard. Another assist for Clark. That's 13 as Howard is up to 18 points. Pass in. Little on-ball action and just the fling over the shoulder. Sheldon is going to keep the pressure on Clark. You see Tina Charles with the responsibility of guarding Ilya Boston. High hedge on the ball screen on Clark inside perfectly. Nelson Adota can't get it to Paul. Clark has yet to take a shot. There's the first one and it goes in. Offensive rebound by Nelson, and this time she was stuffed by Howard. Hall spots up and nails it. And she continues to stack them, create some distance at the top. Cunningham on the baseline. Sophie Cunningham has moved so confidently tonight. And the assist here, just a little hesitation there, but the Patience has scored the last 9 points for Indiana. Patented bounce pass. Yeah, she kind of pull up a little bit of a jerk motion to stop her momentum. And as the second half began, Caitlin Clark wasted no time reestablishing control of the tempo. She came out with her trademark intensity, directing traffic like a veteran floor general while keeping her composure under pressure. Her first move, a crossover that froze the defense, led to a pull-up jumper from the elbow that barely grazed the rim before splashing through. The crowd erupted, sensing that the energy was shifting again. Indiana, down by 6, fed off her momentum. Clark, reading the double team early, found Aaliyah Boston rolling perfectly off the screen for a soft lay-in. That connection between Clark and Boston had become one of the most beautiful duos in the league, telepathic, rhythmic, and unstoppable when they played through the middle. The Fever's offense began to hum, with Boston dominating the paint and Clark orchestrating from the perimeter. Seattle tried switching defenders, throwing taller, longer wings at her, but Clark simply adjusted, using her quick release and vision to pick them apart. Her command of pace was unmatched. One moment, she'd slow the ball to set up the offense. The next, she'd explode in transition, zipping a one-handed bounce pass between 2 defenders to Lexi Hull for a corner 3. It was vintage Clark, blending flair with efficiency. Even when Vegas sent traps at half court, she split the defense effortlessly, crossing over into open space, launching another 3 that fell pure and clean. The Fever bench leaped to its feet, knowing what was coming, the signature Caitlin Clark takeover. Defensively, she wasn't taking possessions off either. When Gray tried to initiate from the wing, Clark jumped the passing lane, picked it off cleanly, and in one motion launched the ball ahead to Kelsey Mitchell for an uncontested layup. Her timing, anticipation, and awareness were elite. Every possession felt like an opportunity, and Clark made sure Indiana capitalized. Her energy was contagious. Even the veterans were sprinting harder, cutting sharper, defending tougher. Midway through the third quarter, she pulled up from just inside the logo, no hesitation, pure confidence, and drilled it. The building gasped, then roared as the shot dropped. That's the Caitlin Clark effect. One moment she's running the offense, the next she's redefining the range of possibility. Vegas immediately called timeout, but the damage was done. Clark had swung the game's rhythm entirely. Out of the timeout, she was hounded by Stokes and Young in a full-court press. Yet she calmly dribbled through both, crossing mid-court and delivering a lob to Boston, who finished through contact for an and one. Clark smiled, tapping her temple. She knew exactly what she was doing. She wasn't just playing basketball. She was controlling the narrative of the game. When the fourth quarter began, it was a duel of wills. Seattle's crowd was loud, their defense aggressive, but Clark remained poised. She initiated a set from the top, faked the drive, and sent a no-look dime to Cunningham cutting baseline. It was art in motion, a masterclass in timing and awareness. On the next play, she came off a double drag screen, stopped on a dime, and pulled up for a quick release three that dropped clean through. Indiana's bench could hardly contain themselves. With every shot, Clark reminded everyone that her dominance wasn't a fluke. It was evolution. The Fever had gone from a struggling franchise to a fearless, fast-paced contender because of her vision and leadership. When Seattle's Talbot tried to switch onto her, Clark recognized the mismatch instantly, attacked off the dribble, drew contact, and finished at the rim. The foul call came late, but the statement was immediate. You can't stop her with physicality. With under 4 minutes remaining, Clark delivered the dagger. After a defensive rebound by Boston, she pushed the ball up the floor, crossed half court, and pulled up from 30 feet out. The shot arced perfectly, hanging in the air for what felt like forever before it swished through. The fans were stunned silent for a moment, then erupted in disbelief. Clark turned to the Fever bench, pounding her chest, shouting, "Let's go!" as her teammates swarmed her. That moment defined her. Fearless, unshakable, made for the big stage. As the final minutes ticked away, Clark didn't just close the game. She dictated every possession. A pick and roll with Boston turned into a skip pass to Mitchell for a corner three. A defensive switch led to Clark grabbing the rebound herself, weaving through traffic and drawing another foul at the rim. Her stat line, points, assists, rebounds, painted a picture of control. But what the box score couldn't capture was the aura she carried. She elevated everyone around her. When the final buzzer sounded, Indiana had not only won, they had sent a message. Caitlin Clark, with her relentless fire, had transformed another tough matchup into a highlight reel of precision, poise, and pure talent. As she walked off the court, waving to the fans and exchanging smiles with Boston and Mitchell, there was no question left to ask. This wasn't just another good night for Clark. It was another chapter in the making of a legend. Because for Caitlin Clark, every game is more than just points and stats. It's about rewriting what's possible for women's basketball. Her deep threes, her court vision, her command of energy, they've turned Indiana into one of the league's most exciting stories. And for those watching around the world, her performances are more than just highlights. They're proof that the future is here and it's fearless. This is Basketball Fan, bringing you Caitlin Clark's rise. One triple, one assist, and one unforgettable performance at a time. But what made this particular night different was the way Caitlin Clark commanded the floor. Not as a rookie still adjusting to the league, but as a seasoned leader who had studied every opponent, every rotation, every defensive collapse. From the opening possession of the second half, you could feel a shift. Her body language, her energy, even her communication with her teammates carried a sharper, colder confidence. She was reading Seattle like a chess master, seeing 5 moves ahead. When the defense sagged, she made them pay instantly with a pull-up three from the logo. When they pressed up on her, she sliced through with her signature hesitation dribble, finishing with a smooth scoop under 2 defenders. And when they switched to a zone, she orchestrated like a maestro, waving Boston up to the elbow, dragging defenders out and threading a pass so precise that it hit her in stride for an easy bucket. The Fever bench exploded and suddenly Indiana was rolling. But Caitlin wasn't done. On the next possession, she called out a set, motioned for Mitchell to flare to the corner, and then executed a no-look dime that had even the Seattle crowd gasping. Her rhythm was hypnotic. Crossover, step back, release, swish. Each bucket wasn't just a shot. It was a statement. You could see it in her eyes. She wanted this win. She wanted to prove that Indiana's climb wasn't a fluke, that this young core could challenge anyone. As the fourth quarter began, fatigue set in, but Caitlin thrived in the chaos. Her court awareness elevated. She grabbed a defensive rebound, dribbled through traffic, and tossed a full court dime to Howard, who finished with a power layup. That's what makes Clark special. Not just her ability to score, but her instinct to elevate everyone around her. When Seattle tried to rally, cutting the lead to 4, Caitlin responded the only way she knows how, calmly. She brought the ball up, surveyed the defense, took a deep breath, and pulled up from 30 feet. The net barely moved. The crowd froze, the bench erupted, and you could feel that trademark Clark electricity ripple through the building. She turned, expression stoic, mouthing to herself, "Let's finish this." And finish it, she did. She drew double teams and still found open shooters. She absorbed contact on drives, earning tough points from the line. Even on missed shots, she hustled back, stripped the ball from behind, and reset the possession. With a minute left, Indiana clung to a narrow lead. Seattle trapped her at half court, 2 defenders pressing, 1 closing fast. But Caitlin pivoted, spun through the trap, and fired a bullet pass to Boston for a dagger layup that sealed the win. When the buzzer sounded, Caitlin didn't celebrate wildly. She just nodded, exhaling slowly, as if to say, "This is what I came here for." The Fever's locker room afterward was electric, but there was also a quiet pride. Players talked about how Clark's leadership had changed everything, how her confidence rubbed off on everyone, from the veterans to the rookies. Even Coach Sides admitted, "We're witnessing something special. She's redefining what leadership looks like in this league." And it's true. Caitlin's presence extends beyond the court. After the game, she stayed to sign jerseys, take photos, and talk with young fans, little girls clutching basketballs, their eyes filled with dreams that suddenly seemed closer because of her. She knows what her influence means. She's aware that every shot, every pass, every headline inspires a generation. But in her mind, she's still that kid from Iowa, hungry, driven, and obsessed with getting better. In the film room, she breaks down her own mistakes mercilessly, analyzing every turnover, every missed rotation. That's the part people don't always see. The perfectionist who stays late after practice to hit 200 more threes. The leader who checks in with her teammates about their mental health. The competitor who demands excellence from everyone, including herself. Her evolution from a college superstar to a professional powerhouse has been breathtaking, not because she changed who she was, but because she refined it. Her fire, her vision, her will, all sharper now, all channeled into building something lasting in Indiana. And as the Fever continue to rise, you can feel it. The league is shifting. The era of Caitlin Clark isn't coming. It's here. From half-court daggers to gravity-defying assists, she's turning every game into a masterpiece, rewriting the narrative of what women's basketball can be. This is Basketball Fan, and if tonight taught us anything, it's that the game isn't just evolving. It's being revolutionized, one Caitlin Clark performance at a time. As the camera pans across the tunnel after the game, Caitlin Clark walks with her head held high, sweat glistening, a towel around her neck, eyes locked straight ahead. You can tell she's not satisfied. That's the thing about her. Winning excites her, but perfection drives her. She's replaying every moment in her mind. The missed layup in the second quarter, the turnover late in the third, that one defensive rotation that came half a second too late. While the crowd outside chants her name, Caitlin is already mentally in tomorrow's practice. That's what separates her. Her brilliance isn't just talent. It's obsession. Every great has it, that insatiable hunger to be better even in victory. And tonight, as she heads into the post-game presser, reporters are already waiting for a soundbite, something flashy. But she keeps it humble. "We played well," she says, voice steady. "But there's still so much to fix. We're just getting started." The confidence in her tone doesn't sound like arrogance. It sounds like prophecy. Back in the locker room, her teammates feed off that energy. Boston sits beside her, unwrapping her ankles, laughing softly. "You're unreal, you know that?" she says. Caitlin smiles, shakes her head. "We're all unreal when we play together." That's the culture she's building. No ego, no hierarchy, just unity. Kelsey Mitchell nods from across the room. "You make it easy for us to believe." And she's right. Caitlin has become more than Indiana's star. She's the glue holding the franchise together, giving it identity and swagger. When she first joined, the Fever were rebuilding, a team lost between eras. Now they have a face, a force, and a future. But it hasn't come easy. The physicality of the WNBA tested her in ways college never did. Bigger defenders, faster rotations, smarter schemes. Every night, someone's trying to break her rhythm. Yet, instead of shying away, she's adapted. She studies how the veterans defend, how Natasha Cloud shades screens, how Chelsea Gray disguises traps, how Brianna Stewart cuts off angles. Then she counters. Every game, every quarter, she learns. She evolves mid-play. When teams blitz her on pick and rolls, she slips passes behind the hedge. When they go under screens, she punishes them from deep. When they switch bigs onto her, she drives and draws contact, absorbing hits that would have rattled her months ago. By the end of the season, analysts start noticing something. Her numbers aren't just impressive. They're historic. She's averaging near double digits in assists, hitting threes from distances no one dares to guard, and commanding defensive attention that opens up her entire roster. Opposing coaches begin designing game plans specifically to contain her, not just stop her scoring, but limit her impact. Yet every strategy backfires because Caitlin has mastered anticipation, the ability to see plays before they unfold. It's not magic, it's mastery. Then comes that fateful road game in New York. Packed arena, playoff implications, tension thick in the air. Sabrina Ionescu versus Caitlin Clark. The narrative writes itself. From the opening tip, it's a duel. Sabrina hits a pull-up. Caitlin answers from deep. Crowd roars, then another and another. They're trading threes like heavyweight punches. But in the fourth quarter, with the fever down 2 and the clock ticking, Caitlin takes over. She calls for isolation, eyes locked on the rim. Step back, crossover, pull-up, swish, tie game. Next possession, she steals the ball, pushes in transition, and threads an impossible pass between defenders for an and-one layup by Howard. The Fever bench erupts, the crowd goes silent, and Caitlin raises her fist, fire blazing in her eyes. She's not just playing, she's commanding the moment. After the buzzer, Sabrina hugs her, whispers something like, "You're the future of this league." And maybe she's right. Because Caitlin Clark isn't just the next big thing, she's the now. She's redefining what leadership looks like, what spacing means, how tempo is controlled. Her presence alone changes the geometry of the court. Defenses stretch, rotations warp, and suddenly, everyone around her has more room to breathe, to create, to shine. The Fever make the playoffs for the first time in years, and it's not luck. It's belief. The entire team carries the edge Caitlin plays with, disciplined, hungry, unafraid. Every huddle, she's there, eyes locked in, telling them, "We belong here." And when the lights are brightest, she proves it. In Game 3 of the first round, with the Fever down by 1 and only 6 seconds left, Caitlin takes the inbound. No hesitation. One dribble, crossover, fadeaway 3, bang, game winner. The crowd loses its mind. Her teammates mob her at midcourt, tears, joy, disbelief. And yet she just smiles faintly and says, "On to the next." Because that's who she is. Relentless, unshaken, destined. She's not chasing records. She's chasing greatness. And as the cameras fade out on another historic night, one thing is clear. Caitlin Clark isn't just carrying Indiana. She's carrying the future of women's basketball on her shoulders. Every pass, every shot, every moment is a reminder that this is her era, her legacy in motion. And for fans everywhere, from Iowa to Indiana, from little girls in gymnasiums to pros studying her film, Caitlin Clark has become more than a player. She's become a blueprint for what's possible. This is Basketball Fan, and if you thought you'd seen it all, think again, because Caitlin Clark's story has only just begun.